back home again in Indiana.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the Fish Nerds Podcast. Smart talk about fish, fishing, and eating fish. That is always interesting, usually funny, and mostly true. Hi, I'm Richard Yvonne, and I'm from Twin Maple Outdoors, and here are the Fish Nerds.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Doc Martin.
What? No, you can't be Doc Martin. You're not.
What am I supposed to say?
No, well, you're not supposed to be on this part of the show.
So I just listen silently.
No, you are supposed to talk. So now this is the banter section of the show. So we should have a conversation.
So when you say no, you can't be.
That was a bit. So the listeners are listening. And they're saying, "Oh, Dave is surprised. Isn't that funny?"
Apparently, I'm also surprised.
All right. Well, the tape's still rolling, so I'm going to keep that. We're going to keep this because we're test driving a new host, Doc Martin. I must say, Doc.
Apparently, I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, it's not going very well right now. I just want to let you know. At this part of the show, this is where Clay and I usually talk about, just kind of how the weather's going, if we've been fishing lately, those kinds of things. So how's the weather in Kansas?
It is actually beautiful right now.
Really?
It was in the mid to high 70s yesterday, and it's supposed to be in the 70s today. I haven't been outside yet today, but it's supposed to be really nice.
70s? That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Now, what part of Kansas... Now, my pictures of Kansas are like Dust Bowl, of course.
Of course.
And the guy with the beard on the canvas or the Kansas cover of Go West, Young Man, the band Kansas.
That's Kansas in a nutshell.
Yeah, that pretty much is. It's this crazy guy with a beard that shows up on the cover of all the album covers. Yeah,
that's pretty close, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where you are. So, of course, I moved here, and my anticipation of Kansas was, pretty flat and very boring, which it turns out is Western Kansas. Sorry, Western Kansas. But I actually live in and around kind of the northeastern part of Kansas, which is called the Flint Hills. Oh. And so there's hills, real ones, actually. They're nothing like, the Appalachia or Rocky Mountains or anything, but it is definitely not flat.
Oh, okay. And so the Dust Bowl, are there flint in them there hills?
There sure is.
Oh, nice. Now, so that's how they made arrowheads and stuff out of, right?
I guess so.
I
don't know.
Either. I don't know. Did you do your grad work out there?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because I imagine the prairie streams are kind of totally cool when it comes to fish habitat and fish populations.
It is very interesting. So depending on where you are, so like the headwater streams, so real small, wadable streams, they're usually, under knee deep is kind of where I did my dissertation work. Mm-hmm. And they're gravelly and rocky. Some of them are totally inundated with clay, and so they're really hard to walk in. They're very slippery. And they're very flashy, so they'll completely dry out in areas, and then as floods come through, they'll really scour out. They can change paths, things like that. So they're very harsh environments for fishes.
Well, that actually describes my co-host very well. First of all, his name's Clay, so just like Clay inundated. There you go. And he's flashy at times and can be harsh. So...
Well, there you go. So he needs to move out here then.
I guess I'd feel right at home. And I'm tickled because I sprung this co-hosting on you tonight, and you've been very gracious of figuring this out as we go. So you did, despite my initial sort of, saying you weren't doing a good job, you're doing a great job.
I'm still here. So
yes, that's all very good.
I'm doing a job.
And a lot of times that's all it takes. So that's good.
Hey. All right.
And then the other thing that I'm tickled about is that Clay is listening this as a surprise. I have not told him that you were co-hosting this week.
Oh.
And Clay...
I was dragged into it.
Yes. And because he is on vacation with his kids and his wife, his whole family down in Virginia Beach. He's been posting stuff from there.
Yes, I've seen the photos.
Yeah, and he's on the beach and he's doing all this stuff. So I thought it would be funny to surprise him when he gets back as he listens to the show that finds out he's been replaced.
Oh, terribly, though. So, I mean, he's got that to look forward to.
He has an opening. So
That's right.
anyway, it is 20 degrees here today. I think it's about 24 right now. It's going to get down into the teens tonight. What else about the weather? I'm going fishing tomorrow.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to a place called Willand Pond, and I'll be fishing for black crappie.
Now, is that a natural pond or is that a man-made pond?
You know, it's interesting. It's actually a natural kettle hole pond created by a glacier that was,
Nice.
sitting there and melted and left a big hole,
Very cool.
which is kind of unusual in this area. And it's in a, I don't know. I don't know my geology, obviously, with the Flint stuff, but it's, I think it's in, if I were to say, glacial moraine. Mostly sandy and stuff like that. But it's an unusual pond compared to a lot of them around here. Unfortunately, the town of Dover built all the way around it, and often in the summer it gets impaired water quality because of nutrient loading.
Nice little green color.
Yes. Although, the other thing you and I share is a history in Indiana.
Yeah, Hoosiers. We don't even know what it means, but we're really proud of it.
We are really proud of it. And growing up there. Now, did you grow up there?
Yes, I did. Born and raised.
Met myself as well. And later on in the show, we'll be doing a Hoosier-based quiz.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. It'll be good. But, as you know, when it rains in Indiana, I mean, mud in Indiana is serious. Like, people don't understand mud until they see mud in the Mississippi drainage.
It's mud. There's a lot of it.
It's mud. I'm up here in the Northeast, and it'll rain. Like, we'll have an inch of rain, right? The streams will run almost, to Indiana standards, crystal clear within 4 to 6 hours.
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty quick.
It's unbelievable. And I've never seen them any muddier than, I don't know. I don't know how to measure my mud, but basically there's no mud out here at all.
Huh.
So you can imagine, like, when you get a big rainstorm, you can still go fishing because the water's clear enough that the fish can see. But in Indiana, it's what, like cream in a coffee kind of color, right?
Yeah, like pea soup if the peas were brown.
Right. Exactly.
There's a nice image for you.
Yeah, very, very, very nice way to work in pea and a poo reference. Very nice.
Oh, hey. A happy accident.
One time, that reminds me, and we'll exchange fish stories in Indiana, but I'll start off as we end this segment and go into other things. When I was a kid, I learned to carp fish across from a wastewater treatment plant in Indiana.
Aha.
And that was in the 70s when I learned. My father took me out to this place. I don't know how or why he would do this. But in flood conditions, just like we were talking about, I absolutely remember picking toilet paper off my line.
Oh.
That's not good.
No. It's a life experience, though.
At this stage, for new listeners to the Fish Nerds podcast, I want to introduce you to Doc Martin. Doc Martin, we ran into her on Twitter probably a year, 2 years ago, at least, maybe even 3, where we saw somebody posting great illustrations of fish just for kicks. And we reached out and responded and said, hey, you seem like a big nerd. How would you like to contribute to the Fish Nerds empire, the Fish Nerd Nation? And she's like, of course. So she's been doing our expert Fish Nerd minutes for, like I said, at least 2 years. From her bio on fishnerds.com, it reads, Dr. Erica Martin fell in love with fish and all things aquatic at a very early age. In second grade, she declared that she was going to be a marine biologist and voraciously read every field guide she could get her hands on. Now she is keenly interested in stream ecology, meta-community ecology, life history, and conservation biology. A good deal of her work is focused on how fish, community diversity, density, and size influence ecosystem properties. Doc Martin has taught upper-level biology and ecology courses at Kansas State and was awarded the EIDROP GK-12 Fellowship. I don't know, that sounds really impressive. And was a resident scientist for Junction City High School in Kansas. She currently is a college professor living in Kansas. Doc Martin. Fish in the news. And you're supposed to say, I love fish in the news.
I do love fish in the news. How convenient.
I know. So the first news story comes from Grub Street, grubstreet.com.
Okay.
I know, go figure. Donald Trump's favorite McDonald's food is apparently the fish delight.
All right.
So this reporter said on CNN Town Hall's meeting, Donald Trump revealed his love for fast food. It's probably what any billionaire presidential candidate would do to sound super relatable after he apparently screwed something up. So he told,
Really?
yeah, no, go figure. It doesn't say much of the when that happened, but he told Anderson Cooper that he even allows fast food on his private plane because he trusts the germ-free environment that happens in fast food areas.
Well, now, unlike Mr. Trump, although I might be mistaken, I have some excellent fast food work experience.
No way.
At this particular establishment.
Really? You're a McDonald's alum?
Back when I was just a wee lass. Yes, I was.
Wow. Well, do tell. What do you have a good story from that time?
Oh, God. So, yes. And I'm going to apologize to my wonderful parents for sharing this over the radio. But as my mother would say, it really suits my personality.
Okay.
So, working at McDonald's, I was 14 or 15, so I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
It's my very first job, real grown-up job, right?
Right.
And people, it turns out, are really, really rude. This is kind of my first exposure to, like, service industry rudeness.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, the morning people especially, they want their coffee, they want to get to work, and everyone's in a hurry because it turns out they are really, really important, okay? Especially in rural Indiana.
Of course.
So, right. And this gentleman drives through, and the hash browns are just coming out of the fryer. So I said, you know, it's going to be 5 seconds. Can you pull forward? And I'll bring your food out. By the time you park up there, I'll have your order ready.
Yeah, okay.
And he throws this just big fit about how inconvenient this is for him. So he pulls forward, and I bring him his food, and he decides to tell me, oh, well, you guys are clearly short-staffed. You need more help in there. Basically, I'm an incompetent person. And so I politely asked, you're right, we could use some help. Would you like an application?
Oh.
He did not find that funny, and I did have to get written up because that's not how you treat a customer, but my manager wasn't too hard on me about it.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a gorgeous story. That is great.
Well, sassy.
That's good. I would think your parents would be proud of you for a comeback like that.
Well, you know, yes and no. Maybe not at 15.
I don't know. That's a very, very good thing. This story is lame compared to that one. Real quick, Donald Trump just got the name wrong, so he called it a fish delight, which of course everybody knows it's a Filet-O-Fish.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you did. Okay, well maybe that isn't as common knowledge. And you even worked there. How is that even possible?
Well, about the last time I ate at McDonald's, I don't even know when it was. I'm not a fast food aficionado myself, unlike the Donald, so not something that I store up in the cranium, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. It's
Filet-O-Fish.
Filet-O-Fish.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you know, and you ever go to kind of these fancy restaurants or hang out with hipsters, and they'll talk to you about different restaurants. Like they'll go to a Cuban restaurant or they'll go to like a Mexican restaurant. And when they hit some of the words, they jump into sort of the supposed pronunciation of that food. So like, hey, do you want a burrito? Or something like that.
Oh, yes. I know exactly of what you speak.
Yeah, you know those kinds of people. Some guacamole,
At least they're trying.
Yes, exactly. I think we should do the same. I mean, I think that's racist, not only because it's usually somebody trying to do somebody else's race, but we don't do it with others, such as McDonald's, so we should have a Scottish, welcome to McDonald's and have an old fish au filet.
I'm behind that.
Yeah, there
actually.
you go. So the next time
you should try your best to mimic the whatever country of origin from the restaurant.
Right, or, the origin of the word, right? So it's McDonald's. So it's not McDonald's, it's McDonald's.
And it's very powerful.
Yeah, I know. Well, they are a powerful people.
That's true.
So that's pretty good fish in the news. Let's just try one more.
Okay.
Alaska, see, 9 reasons. Oh, this is good. Maybe.
Okay.
So this is from Mashable, Mashable.com. 9 reasons we should all wish we were pet fish.
Oh, brother.
I know. Now, you used to work in an aquarium store, correct?
I did, yes.
All right.
After that, I do not wish to be a pet fish.
I can imagine. Real quick, let's just see. Number 1, you have a home, but you don't have to pay rent. I suppose that's true.
Okay.
Number 2, someone else comes to clean that home for you, and you don't even have to help.
Also true.
That is also true. Number 3, you get to skinny dip without being arrested.
All right.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, so no clothes.
If you skinny dip right, you won't get arrested anyway.
That's true. We all know that, right? Yes, of course. Number 4, you're the centerpiece of every room. Some of us are that anyway.
Well, that's right.
So far, I don't see anything different than being sort of like a chauvinist male guy being married. I mean, so far. I guess you do have to pay rent, so I suppose that's right. Everything else is pretty much that. Number 5, exercise is built into your lifestyle, so you're always super fit.
Well, that would depend on the fish, though.
Oh, do tell, fish nerd.
Well, I mean, not all fish are active swimmers. Some of them are pretty lazy.
Like what?
Well, let's see. I think the nurse shark has one of the lowest metabolic rates, I believe, of most fish, so they're pretty lethargic.
That was just a fish in the news, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Was that Science? That might be Science Daily, I think. I'm not sure. .com. But yeah, so that one, I don't know. I'm not on board with that one.
I did see that headline go by, though. And they were saying it was a successful strategy for that fish.
Correct.
So,
and I mean, being lazy has its perks.
Exactly. All the lazy people are cheered when that story came out.
That's right. I did.
Number 6 of 9, the temperature is kept comfortable. The temperature is kept comfortable. God, I can't say comfortable for you at all times.
Okay.
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. You have no memory, which means you have no regrets.
Oh, that's 100% false. Come on. Who put this list together?
Mashable, some goofball there. I know. We got 2 more to get through.
Okay.
Short attention span is okay because you're a goldfish with the attention span of a goldfish. It's expected of you. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's humorous, but also inaccurate.
Oh.
So goldfish actually have a relatively decent attention span. I think it's up to several days or something like that. Like, it's better than what you would think is their standard stereotypical goldfish forget in 3 seconds. That's not true.
See, that's why I like doing Fish in the News with you. Clay just buys into all this stuff and doesn't have any sort of, way to back it up. But you got reason.
I ruin everything.
You do ruin everything. Just like a true scientist. Nice
Yay.
job. Lastly, number 9, it rains food.
That one, I like that one.
Yeah, that one's true. That would be kind of cool if just food just kind of rained down on
like
you.
Just regularly. There it is. Of course, it'd be like the same thing, though.
It would.
Every day.
Yeah, flakes all the time. But whatever. They seem happy enough with that.
That's true.
Very good. So that is Fish in the News. Nicely done.
Hey, all right.
All right, we got a Hoosier quiz.
Yay!
Yay! And this is a real insider game because we had already established this. Both you and I are from Indiana. We are Hoosiers. Although I'm a graduate from Purdue University, so to be called a Hoosier hurts my Boilermaker feelings. But because there's the University of Indiana, which are Hoosiers. Anyway.
And I went to Ball State University, so I think we are the Cardinals.
You were the Cardinals, yes, in Ball State. Yeah, that's true. We're in Muncie, Indiana, I believe.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so this is a super easy quiz. We are going to take turns, and there's just going to be let's do like 3 times, and maybe 5. We'll see how it goes. And we're just going to say the phrase Hoosier, and then we're going to quiz each other on something. So I'm going to say something like, "Who's your favorite talk show host?" kind of thing.
And I would say Dave.
Yeah, there you go. See, you got it right.
Hey, all right.
So, you'll have to come up with one on the spot. I'm pretty much coming up with these on the spot, so that's okay.
Perfect.
So, and they don't always have to be people, so even though the who part is going to screw this up, but I'll start first. Who's your favorite fish?
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, so small headwater stream favorite fish would have to be the Phoenicobus mirabilis, which is the suckermouth minnow.
Suckermouth minnow? Why the suckermouth minnow?
Well, first of all, it's a minnow with a sucker mouth. So you think that it's going to be in the catastomas with the suckers, but it isn't. It's a cyprinidae. And so Phoenicobus mirabilis kind of means like mystery miracle fish.
Oh, nice.
Right? So not only is the fish like physically cool, whoever named it, which I wish I knew who that was, is a secret genius because that's awesome. Everything about the fish is great.
That's awesome. That's true. That's very good. All right, very good. So see if you could come up with one for me.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, real quick, are suckermouth minnows found in Indiana?
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay, very good.
Yep, they're cool. They're cute. Let's see. Who's your favorite kind of bait?
Oh, very good. Very good question. I would say my favorite kind of bait would have to be hellgrammites. I know.
Nice.
Just because they make people go, oh.
They do. They're like tiny little monsters.
They are. They remind me of the creatures in Star Trek II, the ones that go into your ear and bore into your head.
Ugh.
I know.
Totally. Gross.
But yeah, the larval stage of the Dobson fly.
Oh, yeah. They're cool looking.
Yeah, exactly. So
Nice.
All right, very good. So this is in Indiana. Who's your favorite lunch item in Indiana? And, there are regional foods, although Indiana's pretty kind of, it doesn't have the kind of regional foods that some other places do.
Yeah, I don't. I gotta go. This is gonna be really lame, but I really like a great burger and fries.
Oh well, that's not a bad
like
one.
Lunch. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean it's in Indiana. Yeah.
I was wondering if you were going to go with the breaded tenderloin.
Ah, well, that's a good one, but I have to say I don't usually order that unless it's given to me.
All right, very good. Well, why don't you try one more, and that'll be our Hoosier.
Okay, let's see. Who's your favorite body of water?
Oh, nice. And I'm going to say in Indiana.
So rivers, in Indiana.
You know what it is? It is the Flat Rock River in southern Indiana.
Nice.
And it's in the watershed that goes out to the Ohio River, and it's in what county? Are you familiar with it?
I'm not familiar with the Flat Rock River. I'm from northern Indiana, so my southern Indiana experience would be pretty minimal.
Right. And I would have said the Eel River up by Logansport.
Ah, that's a good one.
I know, that is a good one, isn't it? And the Wildcat Creek is a very good one around Purdue, which I like that one. But the reason I like the Flat Rock River, which I think is in it's around Brown County, it's down in there, is I participated once in a Hellbender survey, and I went down with the Department of Natural Resources, and we would walk along this river that had all these flat rocks, and you would reach under the rocks and into the crevices and feel around for these 2-foot-long salmon. And when you got one, you had to pin it to the bottom of the rock and then slowly get it out, and then you could measure it and do all the things. But we spent a whole day just sticking our hands in holes and rocks on the flat rock river.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, were you concerned about like any kind of snapping turtles or anything like that out there, or is it kind of enough like a shallower area where those aren't going to be a problem?
Well, it was all moving water, and it was not your typical kind of snapping turtle habitat. I would probably have been more concerned about like the soft-shell turtle. Like the...
Oh, okay. Yep.
What are they called? Like spiny nose or something? But anyway, the
soft-shell turtle works for me.
Yeah, I know. That's what we always called them. Like, they look like pancakes.
Adorable pancakes.
Adorable pancakes. And anyway, so that was the only concern. And yeah, I mean, it always felt weird. And you would reach in there, and often you'd hit a fish that would, zoom out. So there'd be catfish and all sorts of things. And so it got a little spooky, but then also it was just fun because I caught maybe 2 or 3 of the hellbender salamanders, and it was awesome. They were just great.
Oh, they're a stellar, cool animal.
Yeah, exactly. So not totally fishy, but totally cool. So there you go. We have completed a Hoosier quiz. Nice job, Hoosier.
Hey, all right. That's not as bad as I was worried. There would be like some historical questions or something, and things I should know as a Hoosier. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, all right. Well, so who grew up in Gary, Indiana?
Gary, Indiana. That'd be Michael Jackson.
Yeah, of course. Very good. See, you got it. You got it.
And then this is something. So we used to go on family vacations, my parents and my sister and I. Mm-hmm. And my dad would require, and this is not kidding, you would sing "Back Home Again in Indiana" as soon as we crossed the border back into the state.
Nice.
The whole entire song in the car until it was over.
Aw, that's nice.
I still do it now.
I was going to ask.
I
if
do.
You still do it. Of course you do.
I hated it when I was a kid.
So when you're going up like what would that be, I-69 or 65 on that side? 65 maybe. How do you go home? What interstate do you take?
I don't take the interstate, actually.
Oh.
I backroad it.
No.
I do. I don't like driving in traffic. I'd rather take my time and enjoy some scenery. And I have my little dog, so we stop and look at stuff sometimes. So
stop and look at stuff. All right. Well, very good. Nice job. I think you won. I'm just going to say you won.
Oh, hey, I win stuff. All right. That never happens.
The doctor is in. Dr. Erica Martin.
Hey.
Hey, you've been here all day.
I have, all day. and that's actually true. In my office all day. I don't know if it's sunny out or not.
Oh, well, I've heard it's 70 degrees. Somebody told me that. What fish do you have? This is your natural environment on the Fish Nerds podcast. What's the fish you're going to talk about today?
So this was a fan request, and a fish that actually I thought I was familiar with, and I was surprisingly mistaken.
Oh.
So this is the Banggai cardinal.
I have no idea what that is. What does it look like?
Well, it's very beautiful. It's a marine fish, kind of over in the Western Pacific near Indonesia. Mm-hmm. And they're not very big. They're maybe like a few inches total, but their body is actually small, but they have really long fins. Dorsal fins and pectoral fins. And actually their scientific genus name, the Pteropogon, means kind of wing, fin, and beard. So that's what kind of look like really bizarre appendages on this black and white barred fish.
Wow, okay.
With really big eyes. And this is something that most folks find in the aquarium trade.
Okay.
And so I used to sell this fish to people. It's very easy to keep. We almost always get them in, so it's pretty easy to come by. Not outrageously expensive for a marine fish.
Okay, all right.
But I was looking. I was so excited to learn about it, and it is endangered.
No. Oh no.
Yeah, like kind of bad too.
Well, wait a minute. So you're selling these? Were they coming from a supplier? Or?
Yep.
Wow.
So they've been endangered since 2007, and at some point, sometime between 2007 and now, I don't know what year, they did actually try to put a stop to selling them in the aquarium trade. But Indonesia said no.
Wow.
So we don't have to. So there's still just tons and tons of them. There's like several 100,000 are exported annually, and it's really sad. It made me really sad because they're such a cool fish. I had assumed incorrectly that they are captive bred, but a lot of those captive breeding programs are not the sellers to the aquarium trade.
Oh, gosh. I was Googling that cardinal fish while you were saying it, and I do recognize them now.
Yeah.
And this is just a little sad thing. So I'm looking at aquariumcreationsonline.net, and there's a ad for wild collected Bengay. How do you pronounce it? Bengay?
Bengay cardinal?
Bengay. Wild caught Bengay cardinal right next to captive bred Bengay. All right? Mm-hmm. And the wild caught are cheaper.
Yep.
Yep. They're like
sad.
$5 cheaper. Wow.
So guess which one people are going to buy?
I know.
Cheaper one, and then, yeah, and it's just kind of a little depressing when you find out a really cool fish is already endangered and no one cares to stop the trade.
That's terrible. Well, now that it's on the Fish Nerds podcast, maybe things will change.
That would be great. These things are so cool, and they do some really cool stuff. So they are captive bred, and some folks have been studying, kind of their breeding behavior. And so these guys, the larvae don't have a planktonic period like some marine species do, so the larvae don't float around and develop. The male will take the eggs and the larvae in his mouth, so he's a mouth brooder kind of guy, for about 19 days till about 8 millimeters long. And the reproductive cycle actually, of course, is a lunar reproductive cycle. So it's based on the lunar moon cycle, which is super neat. Yeah. So
now, will they be affected if they can't see the moon? Is it all just like gravitational stuff? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know. I would assume. Ooh, listen, you know what assuming does.
Yeah, I do. Yes, we all do. Yes.
Boy, if it'd be that long, if it was just based on the light of the moon, that reflectance, I would think. Of course, I don't know. Indonesia tend to be more clear because, like, the state of Washington tends to be very cloudy.
Oh yeah.
So weather patterns. I don't know much about Indonesian weather.
Right.
But I would think it'd be more kind of the gravitational waves and ocean properties and how that would change with the lunar cycle. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's affecting tides, so I suppose they could figure it out that way.
So yeah, because it says the major spawning happens during a full moon.
Yeah.
So that'd be where it's at its strongest too.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Interesting.
right?
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So kind of neat.
Yeah. Very much so. All right.
Gravity or light, one of them.
Yeah.
Well, they're related, so
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
there's your bad nerd joke for the day.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. What do you have anything else on them?
Yeah, so a lot of it is their life cycle and their habitat. So they are silty sand bottom dwelling with some seagrasses. And they are associated with the long-spined sea urchins. And so they'll kind of hover over these little sea urchins, and the little ones will actually stay close, and so they'll retreat into the sea urchin spines when they're threatened.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, little sea urchin castles.
Yeah. I mean, if you got a sea urchin right there, you might as well cozy up.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, I've definitely seen those. I've definitely seen that. Did you find any recipes?
No, I didn't. Although I could imagine that would be the fillet would be very small.
Right. The fish delight, as it were.
There you go.
Would be.
Maybe you make them like a sardine where you soak them or something.
Yeah, you'd probably have to bunch them up. Yeah, probably. Well, Doc, you've done it again. You've enlightened us, especially on a fairly familiar fish. And we should never, ever buy one.
I know. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
See, I told you I ruin everything.
Yeah, scientists ruin everything.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks, Doc, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Now it's time for a little preview, a little trailer, as it were, from the future. That's going to be a future segment here on the Fish Nerds podcast. Our friend Tim Moore of Tim Moore Outdoors gave a seminar at the Kittery Trading Post in Kittery, Maine. And his seminar focused on ice fishing and the use of electronics in ice fishing. And here's a little bit of that seminar.
So not only do you know where the fish are, because when warm water fish feed, they suspend. It's really important to know that. But if you don't know where they're suspended in the water column, you don't know where to put your jig, because they also feed from below. So it's important to know where they are in the water column so that you can make sure your jig's above them. Well, if you don't have a flasher, you have to figure that out the old method by dropping to the bottom. You reel up a crank, you jig. You reel up another crank, you jig. Reel up another crank, you jig, until you catch a fish. Then you drop back down to the bottom and you repeat that until you've done it enough times that you feel confident you found how many cranks off the bottom they are. I mean, I grew up as a kid measuring cranks off the bottom and turns off the bottom. If we were using the little rods that just had little posts to wrap your line on, how many turns off the bottom are you? When we were smelt fishing, that's how we always told where the smelt were, how many turns off the bottom. So to be able to look down and see I'm in 40 feet of water, a bunch of fish just came in at 20. I want to be at 18. You know that. You can drop that jig down there so that those fish can still see it, because if you go past them, 90% of the time they're just going to let it go, because they don't really look down. They're all looking ahead and up for that food.
Tim will not only talk about fish behavior in his segment, but he talks about using your smartphone while fishing, several smartphone apps that he enjoys using, as well as sonar units. He's a fan of Vexilar, but he has many other electronics as well. So be sure to tune in to the Fish Nerds podcast in the future to hear ice fishing electronics with Tim Moore from Tim Moore Outdoors. So that is it. You have listened to a couple of Fish Nerds when you could have been fishing.
We'd like to thank our families for supporting us while we podcast, go on fishing quests, and do all sorts of silly things that middle-aged guys do. If you would like to support the Fish Nerds, you can go to patreon.com and search for Fish Nerds and help us crowdfund this podcast.
God, we're sexist jerks. I didn't realize that. Right there. Wow.
I am neither middle-aged or guy.
That's
so,
true. Well, I tell you, the middle-aged thing, you got something to look forward to. But anyway, so special thanks to Doc Martin. That's who we're thanking. Thank you very much. I think that's it. And Clay, eat your heart out.
And until next time, follow the code of the Fish Nerd. Spawn early and often.
Avoid free lunches with strings attached.
Swim against the current every chance you get.
Yay!
Yay!
You did it.
All right, testing. Get set up here. We go. This is called The Three Little Fishies. It's a little sing-along tune for kids that used to play on Sesame Street when I was very little. So we'll give it a go here. Down in the meadow, in a little bitty pool, swam three little fishies, and a mama fishy too. Swim, said the mama fishy, swim if you can. And they swam all over the dam. Moop, boop, in and out of water. Choo, moop, boop, in and out of water. Choo, moop, boop, in and out of water. Choo, and they swam all over the dam. Stop, said the mama fishy, or you'll get lost. But the three little fishies, well, they didn't want to be lost. So the three little fishies went off on a spree, and they swam right out to the sea. Moop, boop, in and out of water. Choo, moop, boop, in and out of water. Choo, moop, boop, in and out of water. Choo, and they swam right out to the sea. Whee, said the little fishies, here's a lot of fun. We'll swim in the sea till the day is done. So they swam, and it was a lark, till all of a sudden they saw a shark.